Now that we've discussed running local elections like a jury summons, let's take a look at state and federal elections. First off, any elected official on the state or federal level is only allowed to serve 2 terms, no more. They don't have to be consecutive, but they can be no more than 2. Secondly, any individual that throws their hat willingly into the public arena for public office, accepting said responsibility, agrees to allow their financial assets to be investigated prior to entering office, once again after leaving office. Any more than a 20% increase in personal assets and financial wealth is subject to an audit. Doesn't necessarily mean you did something wrong, but it means we just want to make sure that you're clean. Kind of keep you honest. Third, political office was never intended to be a lifelong career. Our forefathers understood this. We left Europe because we were running away from a ruling class elite. So do you really think that they would want to come over here and say, hey, you know what, guys? We just left the old guy over in England who's been running shit the same way for 50 years. So let's institute a system where everybody gets elected and stays in office and does shit the same way for 50 years. No, politics was never meant to be a career field. Our forefathers understood that politics was a necessary burden handed to citizens of this country and trusted to patriots that wanted to take the time and invest to make this a better place, not to line their pockets. I personally think that all elected officials, their salaries should be a median income of their constituents. 95% of your population lives below the poverty line, and you're making $175,000 a year. Realistically, how can you effectively represent them? Just curious. You may be able to do your best. You may be able to empathize, but you won't really be able to sympathize. Kind of like back during that big scare a few years ago, where a lot of people kept saying, you know what, we're in the same boat. No, we weren't. We were in the same storm. Some of us were holding on to driftwood, hoping like hell we survived, while others were resting comfortably in the bow of a giant damn aircraft carrier. So we rode the storms out very differently. So while I'm struggling to make ends meet, don't talk to me about the ice cream that you have stashed away in your freezer. That shows you have no connection to the people that you represent. What about lifetime benefits? No, those need to go away. There's no need for an individual that serves 2 terms to reap a lifetime benefit. If I went to work for a private corporation in this country and I only hung around for 6 to 8 years, do you think they're going to continue to pay me a salary? No. Politics was never meant to be a career field. Politics was meant to be a necessary burden that the people take on to make this a better country. And it was meant to be the average common man that did it so that he could better effectively represent his constituents. some of our political leaders do a fairly good job, even though they may be worth much more money than I'll ever be worth. I can think of a few, I won't mention any names, that, actually ended up leaving office worth less money than whenever they went into office. I can think of others that I really respect because they do bring an outlook to it because he came here and he built it himself, and it's all been within his generation. He didn't come from generational wealth, and he didn't make his money through political manipulation. He made his money in the private sector, and he's running for office, and I really respect him. There's no need to make politics a career. It is a necessary burden taken on by true patriots to help maintain and better this country. And anyone who seeks political office long term is taking us back to King George. But that's just my thoughts.